Okay, so this is part 2 of the question paper on HCF, LCM and products of prime factors. So we've got express 84 as a product of its prime factors. Well, we're going to use the same method we've used before, which is factor tree. So I've got 84 is 7 and 12. And again, I'm going to go through this relatively quickly. If you do need any help, then please do go through to the relevant YouTube videos, and I will put links on the page for you to go through to that. So I've used the factor tree to work out that 84 as a product of its prime factors is 84 equals 2 times 2 times 3 times 7, and that will answer that question for 3 marks, that 84 equals 2 times 2 times 3 times 7. Very typically with these sorts of questions you'll get a part B and it'll say find the highest common factor or the lowest common multiple, but we need to use the same principle in this case to work out 35. Well, 35 is fairly easy because both 5 and 7 are both prime numbers. So therefore, if I write this out, I've got 35 equals 5 times 7, and then 84 we know from before is 2 times 2 times 3 times 7. So actually the highest common factor of the two is the common factor of 7 in this particular case. So it's 7, so HCF equals 7. So relatively straightforward on that particular question. As is the next one, again we're going to be using exactly the same principles where we're going to be working out, in this particular case, 56 as a product of its prime factors. Well, I use the same method. I've got 56 here, and if I multiply 7 and 8 together, well, 7's okay because it's prime number, 8 isn't, so 2 and 4, 2's okay, 4 isn't. Okay, so 2 and 2, put those two together like that, and I can work out that 56 equals 2 times 2 times 2 times 7, or if you prefer, I've got it at the bottom here, 56 equals 2 times 2 times 2 times 7, and that would give me the 2 marks. Okay, so the lowest common multiple of 56 and 98, well, I need to do the same thing for 98 to find its prime factors. Well, again, I think I mentioned in one of the previous ones that if you're in any doubt, really, just divide it through by 2. And that'll be fine, or 3, it can be one or the other. So 49, we've got 7 and 7. Okay, so I'm going to write this out. So I've got 56 equals 2 times 2 times 2 times 7, and 98 equals 2 times 7 times 7. Okay, so the HCF is going to be those two there and one of those 7s there, so it's going to be 2 times 7, which is 14. So therefore the LCM is 14 times what's left, which in this case is 2 times 2 times 7, and that's going to give me a massive total, and this is where your calculation skills are going to become into the fore here, and you've got to be very careful because it is a non-calculator paper. That's going to give me an LCM of 392, so that's quite a big number to be calculating through. I don't think any of the other questions are particularly as tricky as that one, but we'll go through and have a look. So on this one we've got question 10, and question 10 is find the highest common factor of 84 and 180. So again, relatively straightforward. We need to work out the factor trees. Got a little bit more room on this particular paper, so I've got 84, well that's 7 and 12. 12's no good to me, 3 and 4, 4 isn't, so that becomes 2 and 2. I don't tend to write these out straight away because I prefer to put one above the other. Makes my calculation a bit easier, so I just tend to just leave it. I've got 3 and 60, okay, and with the 60 I've got, no I haven't, I've got 3 and 20, okay, and with the 20 I've got 4 and 5, 2 and 2. Okay, so I'm in a position now where I can write these out, and what I would write out is simply that 84 equals 2 times 2 times 3 times 7, and 180 equals, I hope you can see this okay, 180 equals 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 5. So it's, as I mentioned before, it's always better to have one number above the other and just use exactly the same principle each time you're doing it, and that will allow you then to calculate the HCF, which is a combination of 2, and there's another 2 there, and then there's a 3 there. That's brilliant. So 2 times 2 times 3, which is going to be 12. So therefore, I hope you can see this okay, the HCF equals 12. Okay, so on to the next question. Find the HCF of 32 and 80, and this is question 11. Again, we're going to use the same principle. So we've got 32. Okay, I'm going to use a factor tree. Well, I've got 4 and 8, 2 and 2. Okay, hope that's okay for you. And then I've got 8, I've got 2 and 4. 2's okay, 4 isn't. 2 and 2. So again, a whole load of 2's to deal with on this. Okay, so 80, same idea. I've got 4 and 20, more 2's, okay, and then on the 20 I've got 4 and 5, and again more 2's. Okay, so this is where you can lose marks. You've got to be very careful. You'll note that this is a 3-mark question. The reason it's 3-mark is because they anticipate that students, you know, in the heat of an exam, you might just go off a little bit and forget one of the 2's or something. So, you know, please do make sure that you check each time that you're writing the correct amount of 2's. So in this particular case, it's going to be 5 lots of 2's. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Okay, and then I've got 80, and that's going to equal 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 in this case. So therefore the HCF is going to be that. I think that's it, isn't it? So it's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and that will work out at 16. So therefore the HCF will equal 16. Okay, so that's question 11, and then we're going to go on to the final bit of the paper, and there's a nice interesting one right at the very end, which is question 12b. But before we do that, we'll do question 12a. Okay, and what question 12a looks at is the lowest common multiple of 24 and 36. Well, again, the process is exactly the same as we've had before. So we've got 24 is 2 and 12, okay, and that becomes 3 and 4. And I think I've done this now quite a few different times with 24, so probably should know it off by heart, but in the interest of just making sure we've got all of the exam paper questions for you, I hope that's okay. And then we got 36, well that's going to be 4 and 9, no, that's 2 and 2, okay, and that's yes. Okay, so that's going to give us now that 24 equals 2 times 2 times 2 times 3, and 36 is going to equal 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. So therefore we've got to work out the HCF first, and that's going to be that, and one of them. Okay, so that's 2 times 2 times 3, so that's going to be 12. And then the LCM is going to be 12 multiplied by whatever's left. Okay, well what's left in this particular case is the 2 and the 3, so it's 12 times 2 times 3, and that'll work out at 72. So therefore the LCM of 24 and 36 is going to be 12. No, it's not. It's going to be 72. Okay. Alrighty. So that's 12 times 2 times 3 is 72. Okay. Now, the next bit is really just a little bit of an extension piece of work. Okay, and rather than sort of looking at this as being kind of a mechanical sort of formula of way of doing this, what we've been given is a little bit of information. So it said the highest common factor, so if we write this down, we've got the highest common factor equals 3 of two numbers, and the lowest common multiple equals 45. Okay, so what we've been saying is that the lowest common multiple equals the highest common factor times what's left. Okay, well that's okay. So let's just plug those numbers in and see where we end up. So the LCM is 45, the HCF is 3, and that's what's left. Okay, well, in order to make this work, in order to work out what's left, it's going to be 15, because 3 times 15 is equal to 45. So therefore 45 equals 3 times 15. So the two numbers that James could be thinking of would be 3 and 15. Okay, and what we've done there is we've really just slightly changed the way in which we're looking at these sorts of questions. I hope that's been okay for you. Again, it's been a fairly long video, but hopefully it's been useful to you, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.